you're always having to defend Bitcoin to people again. You always have to explain it again. And that fatigues you because you want to be explaining the good stuff. You want to be, on the offense, not on the defense. And so I got to the end of the year and I was just like, oh man, this is hard work. I've actually come back into this new year, caught up with Danny and Jeremy, made some shows. I'm feeling optimistic and looking forward like you to getting back into it.
Yes. It's time. Like Bitcoin's education cycles wait for no one. We as the distributed, users of this software, we go through cycles. Bitcoin doesn't go through cycles. Bitcoin clicks every 10 minutes. And so, the opportunity to use kind of the scarce time in front of us, it's a huge opportunity, but there's also time pressure that I feel all the time, which is that, Bitcoin will not remain niche forever. And so, educating people I care about, getting my own kind of mindset deeply, framed out for myself, like continuing to do kind of that education and re-education work for myself around Bitcoin. I don't have a Nostr set up yet. I need to, right? I haven't gotten to it yet, but like these are things that are developing, sort of in the broader, Bitcoin ecosystem that are exciting and that are new, and that if I don't stay super on top of, like, will pass me by. Like there's like the one that comes to mind especially is like there was a bunch of people who got really, really good at Lightning routing, right? They were earning fees on routing and they were like doing a bunch of bespoke setups on that. And like, I just, I run a business, like I don't have the time.
Do you want me to show you?
Yeah. Yeah, show me how. Let's open the laptop.
Okay, I was joking. Have you found that the way you explain Bitcoin to people has evolved?
I find that the parts of Bitcoin that require explanation have changed. So like at the beginning, a lot of it was like, what's up with this 21 million thing? Like, what do you mean hard cap? Like, how does that even work? I spend almost no time explaining how 21 million hard cap works anymore. Everybody kind of has digested the fact that like there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. How? Not really sure, but we think that this is like a thing that is true. It has become true in the global consciousness of Bitcoin. Now I spend a lot more time talking about proof of work versus proof of stake. I spend a lot more time talking about energy. I spend a lot more time talking about nodes a little bit, but like more so it's like layer 2, Lightning, transaction throughput, like those ideas feel like they're gathering more of like the question process, sort of with somebody who is maybe financially literate but not Bitcoin literate, or somebody who's technology literate but not Bitcoin literate. It feels like the questions are less of like, what are Bitcoin's like functional underpinnings, and like more sort of unique deep dives into single topics or single questions.
So if I was like one of your buddies who's pre-Bitcoin life, one of your old school buddies, and I phone you up, I'm like, Harry, I think I need to get into this Bitcoin thing, but I know shit about it. Like, tell me about it. What would you say? What is it? What is it, man? Why should I care?
Bitcoin's, it's a new monetary technology, right? So the same way that like you didn't used to be able to use like Venmo or Cash App or whatever, Bitcoin represents like that level of unlock, but everybody in the world can do it, right? So you don't need a bank account. You don't even need an app store account. Like it becomes like truly universally accessible money.
Yeah, but why do I need that, man? I can Venmo you. I only Venmo you and my girlfriend or whatever, my mom. Why do I need you?
Yeah, so I think like that's like the rub is like the American perspective on Bitcoin is going to end up being vastly the minority perspective on Bitcoin, which is like Bitcoin is financial insurance, at least at the beginning, or monetary insurance at the beginning, and not like the lifeblood of your household. And so for so many other people around the world who end up using Bitcoin, it becomes household lifeblood, right? It is the way that you function over time. Whereas in America, like the dollar, at least on a year-over-year basis, largely works and is a productive asset for us and is useful. So I think understanding kind of that usefulness a Bitcoin use case native way is harder for Americans. But conversely, like the arguments around Bitcoin as a financial asset, right? As a way to preserve wealth over time. I think Americans get that a little more clearly, and you see that in some of the demographic breakdowns of who owns Bitcoin.
Yeah, but then I would say to you, Harry, it wouldn't have preserved much over the last year. Are you sure?
Yeah, of course. This is the time preference conversation, which is on any 1 year basis, Bitcoin might look terrible. But if you're willing to look at Bitcoin over a multi-year period of time, that's when it starts to get exciting. If you're able to look at the improvements in development and Lightning and in these other kind of venues of growth, that's when Bitcoin looks more exciting. But on any single year basis, like no doubt it's performed brutally.
Danny, can you look up the price of Bitcoin on the 23rd of November 2017?
Yes.
Because this is
potentially it's going to be higher.
Potentially, well, but there's a reason for that date. Do you know what that date is?
November 23rd, 2017.
What might have happened about just over 5 years ago?
What?
I launched this podcast.
No way.
Yeah. So somebody messaged me the other day and said, when I announced I've launched a new podcast, they're like, what's it about? Why are you launching a new podcast? I was like, well, I just want to talk about some other subjects, do some other things. And he's like, it's because there's nothing to talk about Bitcoin. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, it's failed. It's failed since you launched it. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, the price is down.
November 23rd.
Yeah.
8,200-ish.
He's fucking wrong. He's wrong. When did it go to 20,000?
December 17th was about the top.
I mean, it's around about then, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have laughed if I launched it December 17th. So we're actually, on the 5 year basis, we're down. No, we're about even. It's a store of value. I think, so the reason I ask about that, how you explain it to people, because I found myself, Harry, talking about more of the why Bitcoin, not what it is. Mm-hmm. I talk about what it isn't, trying to do that separation between Bitcoin, shitcoins, and NFTs. That's an important thing, but it's more the why. Why you need to consider this now. And I've tried a two-pronged approach. Is that this is a potential insurance for you, for your kids over multi-year, like you said, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But also, I tried to explain this to Brandon Quidham and he completely disagreed with me, but I think it's a vote. It's a vote for independence from government. So even if you're not sure about it, and you just want to go and find out a bit, just go and buy some. Go and buy £30, £50, and then you've got some. And then tell somebody else to do that. And then everyone starts to become part of this ecosystem that's saying, okay, we all want a bit. We all want a stake in this separation for government. But it doesn't sell well.
I think I would say that it's bigger than just governments.
Fair.
The way my sort of Bitcoin shit test for the future is like how will I ask myself the question all the time, how do I know we've won? Right? One day we may wake up and we have won. And how do I know like when that day has come? And to me, the day that I know that we've won is when the labor force, the people who work, are able to dictate to their employers, do not pay me in GBP, do not pay me in USD, do not pay me in CAD, pay me in sats. When that I am able to get paid natively into the Bitcoin network, and I'm able to dictate that to my employer, and we broadly are able to dictate to our employers, that's when we know. Because we've exited at that point. Because so much of the sort of the yoke of bureaucratic systems revolve around the paycheck ecosystem. My taxes are automatically deducted. My 401k and IRA are automatically contributed to. My insurance is automatically paid for. Oh, I've got these tax deferred dollars that go into my healthcare spending account. You're in this walled garden of your employer, your government, and your healthcare insurance system, at least in America, and sort of that garden of payment rails and tax rails, is designed to kind of keep you in it. And so when people are able to say, I don't want that, I want this, and the employers are facing enough pressure from employees to do this for them, to provide access to them in these sort of, Sats native, Bitcoin native ways, that's when we've won. And there's been enough of a groundswell to have this sort of very low friction switching cost from the previous walled garden ecosystem into an open ecosystem. That, to me, that's the juncture.
So do you think of what the implications of that are? What else has changed?
All the time. And the short answer is that it means that Bitcoin probably is dramatically more expensive in purchasing power. It also probably means that the ability to, on an opt-in basis, transact with each other has become drastically more free. And so we see people engaging voluntarily with each other in trade or employment or whatever the case may be. That voluntary transaction, that explicit transaction, that conscious versus unconscious choice will be the predominant way of thinking.